Good day, everybody. This is a live stream from Hietsun Paviljonki. This is an event in UniArts Helsinki, Research Pavilion number 4. My name is Kajsa Dahlbäck. I'm a soprano and doctor of music. And with me here today, I have Marianna Henriksson playing the organ and Eero Palvilainen playing the lute. Marianna is also a student at Docmus Doctoral School at the UniArts. Today I am going to talk about female passion within 17th century sacred music. We are also going to perform music from nun convents of 17th century Italy, more specifically from the Milan and Novara region in the Lombardian region. First, I have a short introduction about these nun convents and the music making there. These nun convents in the 17th century Lombardian region were really unique communities for nun composers and musicians, because music making was seen as a devotional activity, and therefore it was accepted by the bishop, the audience, and also the nuns' families. Namely, a large part of girls in patrician families went to convents. This was the normal thing to do when you came into teenage. In Milan alone, there were 40 convents in the beginning of the 17th century. So one can understand that really a large part, half of these girls, or even 75%, went to convents to spend their lives there. And this was mainly because the dowry connected to marriage was very expensive. So most families couldn't afford to have more than one girl married. The rest went to convent. Some of these convents focused on music. So families had the possibility to choose a suitable convent for their girls. Especially if a girl had studied music already at home as a child, it was quite natural to allow her to go into a convent with specializing in music. And these convents had concerts for a paying audience, so they sold tickets. And many of these convents were well known for having great nun musicians, both as composers and musicians. So then actually these concerts with the paying audience were a very important source of income to the convents. Music was seen as a suitable spiritual recreations for the nuns, so that they could forget the outer world. Bishop Federico Borromeo was the one who said that this is a suitable spiritual recreation. He wanted to see these young nuns try to forget the outer world and their families since they entered the convents. And so a suitable focus for this forgetting the other world was making music. Now we're going to perform Rosa Giacinta Badalla's motet Non Plangete. She was a nun at the Santa Radegonda convent in Milan in the late 17th century.
Non plangete
Then something about the musical characteristics of this nun music. Mostly we can find vocal music with either only continuo accompaniment or with two violins. The number of voices in this type of music is from 1 to approximately 8. And what is notable is that all parts are written for female voices, even the ones in tenor or bass clefs, because it's natural, since no men were allowed in these convents, in the inner church, that even these low bass voices were sung by women, probably with the doubling from a continuo instrument. Vocally, the music is sometimes very demanding, as you could hear in this Badalla motet. There are many coloraturas. We can find long, really sustained phrases, but also places for a specific kind of affect breath. So, for instance, in the Leonarda's motet Volo Jesum, there is the word suspiro, I sigh. And the effect for this word includes a breath. So you also inhale during saying or singing this word in the same effect. And what is notable in this music is that the text in this sacred music has a strong female subject, and that the object is Jesus. So, as a soprano, I feel that my entire instrument is leaning towards this passion for Christ. And that means Christ both as a man and sometimes as a baby. Overall, this music composed by nuns is full of strong effects. It is very expressive and highly emotional. Now we will perform Chiara Margarita Cozzolani's motet O quam bonum, O quam jocundum. She lived also in the Santa Radegonda convent as Badalla, but one generation earlier. Thank you. So what about these nuns expressing passion like this? What puzzled me the most when I got to know this repertoire was in a time of history when a woman merely opening her mouth was a sexual invitation. How could the nuns sing with such passion? Women were strongly controlled in society, and a woman's chastity was her greatest asset. The clausura from 1566 cut the nuns off from the outside world. They lived in convents completely without a male presence or view. They were not allowed to move freely outside the convent. They would not even meet a priest face to face. So there were literally no men present at all. The nuns lived inside the convent and used the chiesa interiore, which means the inner church, while priests and visitors and the paying audience could enter the chiesa esteriore, the outer church. So there was a specific way into the convent's outer church for visitors, priests, and this way was never crossed by any nuns. And also in the church, between these two parts of the church, visual contact was prohibited by a wall. But this wall did not go up to the ceiling. There was a part above the wall, before the ceiling, where sound could pass. That's why it felt in the outer church such as angels would have sung when the sound came from above onto the audience. Here you can see this type of wall. This is from Robert Kendrick's book, Celestial Sirens. You see that the wall is actually complete. Here you don't see this gap above the wall, but it's there. So even the priest, who would be, of course, central for the spiritual life in the convent, was in the outer church. Then the nuns' position in society. They were really seen as brides of Christ. So in that sense, expressing love for him was not a questionable act. It wasn't just any man. They were, in fact, brides of Christ. However, I find that the powerful passion for Jesus is in this repertoire is still on another level than in other types of 17th century Italian repertoire, for instance, Monteverdi and Grandi. And the difference is the sense of a very strong female subject. Even if in Grandi's motets, for instance, you have very much desire in the vocal line, still it is not a female subject. So I find that without the visual contact from or to men, or any other human being for that matter, than the sisters, the nun sisters. I find that giving voice to passion in such an embodied form was an acceptable form of the expression of love they had for Jesus. So this was passion that was only audible. It was not visual for the audience in Chiesa Esteriore. They would never see the nuns open their mouths or any other visual part of singing. Researchers often use the concept of desire within 17th century music. For instance, Marianna has a beautiful article about the concept of desire. It is found in Ruukku Journal. I highly recommend that you read it. But in this nun context, I find that passion is a more accurate term. Desire contains something longing towards that is not yet there. But I see that the nun's relationship with Jesus was already fulfilled. He is present after they took their vows and entered the convent. So the passion to Jesus, either as a baby or as a man, is active and ongoing throughout the life in the convent. Now we will perform music by Isabella Leonarda. She was in a convent in Novara, that is quite close to Milan. First we will perform an excerpt from Volo Jesum, where this specific affect-rich breath inhalation is found. And then we will sing about the passion for baby Jesus in Nive Puer. Thank you. This was a lullaby, so it was quite long, but the aim was to get baby Jesus to sleep. And one whole page after saying that now he is sleeping, we continue, because as every parent would know, they might not, the baby might not be asleep when it seems so. Okay, then looking at the transition from object to subject. As McCleary points out, women have almost always been seen as objects in the Western culture. The strong subject and embodiment of the text into music and breath is therefore extraordinary in this nun repertoire. I desire, I love this type of outspoken female subject with a solid will and the male object is very rare in sacred music. For comparison, the image of Virgin Mary within the Lutheran tradition, that is from the state church here in Finland, she is pure, she is a passive object to God's will, and she does not have a strong place in church today, in the Lutheran church, that is. Then on the other hand, Virgin Mary in the Catholic Church has a completely different role. There she is strong and very important as a female figure. And Virgin Mary was naturally the most important role model for these nuns. I'm going to show you two pictures. I hope you can see it somehow on your screens. On your left-hand side, you see kind of a typical Lutheran Mary. This is the altar painting from my home church in Vasa. And you see here, it is painted by Albert Edelfelt. You see Mary here as she just gave birth to a baby, but she is completely in white, pure, and passive in this setting. Whereas on the right-hand side, Artemisia Gentileschi's painting Madonna con bambino, you see quite another type of setting. You see baby Jesus longing for milk, and Mary is providing it. So she is an active part here. Then I have two text examples. Everything that we have performed today is in Latin. So I'm going to read in English two excerpts of these nun motets. The first one from Leonarda's Volo Jesum in translation by James Callahan, and the second from Cozzolani's duet O Quam Bonuses in translation by Robert Kendrick. I desire the beloved Jesus. I love the loving Christ, and I sigh for him who calls upon an upright spirit within me. For Jesus is the true life of the lover who loves, an infinite sweetness which satiates the heart with the delights of the angels and with the nectar of the saints. My dear beloved Jesus, I adore you. I sigh after you. My hope is in you. I breathe out my heart for you. You who can restore me. My dear beloved Jesus, you are sweet fire and flame, burning my heart with sweet ardor. And in the flames you are sweet hope. Oh, happy, blessed me. I do not know where to turn next. His blood saves me. Her milk purifies me. His blood revives me. Her milk restores me. His blood inebriates me. Her milk makes me joyous. O wounds, O breasts, O blood, O milk, golden wounds, sweet breasts, O lovable blood, sweeter than nectar, happier than manna. Desirable milk, sweeter than honey, more refined than the honeycomb. I love you, I seek you, I desire you, I want you, I thirst for you, I seek you, I drink you, I enjoy you. Oh, happy, blessed me. So we have very embodied texts in these sacred motets. And finally, in a church environment where a woman wasn't the object, she had a possibility to express her passion for Christ, both, as we have heard, as a baby and a man. So giving space for this female subject is central for this day's theme. And I have found that this type of repertoire is very rare due to the societal role of women in the Western culture. Much more we can see in this Baroque repertoire the woman as the object or the other. So I find this nun repertoire a real treasure, and I'm hoping to find other music as well from this era with the same strong female subject. And now we will perform Badalla's, he was the literature, sorry. We will perform Rosa Giacinta Badalla's motet Pane Angelico. Thank you so much for being with us today, and especially thank you to Marianna Henriksson and Eero Palvilainen for joining me. Thank you.